you're gonna break into. Up on you.
It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. Got to give a special shout-out to all the WMML listeners. That's right, WMML in Glens Falls. What's up? Don't forget this show is being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limousine and you're someplace in the United States of America, then you need to give my girl Kat a call, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. But just remember, Kat's my girl, all right? I know you're going to be making a move on her, but she's my girl. 202-351-7496. And speaking of Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, they are the official limo service of this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend gathering, which is taking place in South Glens Falls, November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Make your reservations now. I know it seems like a long way away, but I'm telling you, you better do it. Visit the website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the Billy C. banner, Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame banner. Yeah. That's the one. Click that one, and that'll give you the latest information on that. So far, we've gotten confirmations from everyone that attended last year, the couple of people that missed their planes last year, and everyone inducted this year. They've all confirmed that they're coming, so, and then some. So great weekend we got planned in November, so make your plans now, BillyCBoxing.com, and click the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame banner for that. And by the way, if you're looking to check out some video clips of last year's Hall of Fame weekend in South Glens Falls, on the webpage, right on the front, you'll see a section that says Hall of Fame. Click that, and you'll see a video that Alex did, so check that one out. The show's also being brought to you in part by my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Give them a call, 518-792-4869. We're there Friday nights. When they have Friday night fights on ESPN, this Friday they will not have it, but next Friday they will, and we'll be there. So stop by, talk boxing with us, watch the show. It's real easy. Just look up at one of those big screen TVs and watch a boxing event. And all you got to do is talk boxing with me or anyone else with me, and I'll give you some free prizes. That's it, man. We come over there with a trunk full of stuff, and we want you to have it. Halftime Bar and Grill, 792-4869. Yeah, I was right. 792-4869, Route 9, South Glens Falls. And, of course, Camp Aaron Tomkovich, if you need a lawyer. Use the ones that keep me out of trouble. 845-221-4099. I want to kick off the show today with some sad news. We talked about it yesterday. And it happened this morning, which is kind of like late yesterday because of the time difference. But Afrizial Koto, who was his legal name was Muhammad Afrizial, passed away from the brain injuries he sustained in a fight on Saturday. Our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to the friends and family of Afrizial Koto. I also saw on the report that he, to make things worse, not only does the family lose this young man, but apparently he was getting married in a couple of weeks. So very sad chain of events that took place in the ring on Saturday. It actually, with this particular case, he collapsed after he made his way back to his dressing room and everything else. So prayers, condolences, all that stuff goes out to the family of Afrizial Koto, Muhammad Afrizial. Coming up a little later on the show, we got Alex Pierpaoli presenting our Blast from the Past segment, which was requested. We're trying to do a lot of, we aim to please, man. A lot of fan interaction. And, we get listeners and viewers requesting different stuff, and we try to please. And Alex has been busy accommodating people with the Blast from the Past segment that he's fallen into, and he's very comfortable and does a fantastic job. And this week, we're going to be talking about Panama Al Brown, former world champion for 6 years, plus he's a Hall of Famer. Joe Santoliquito, the infamous Joe Santoliquito. He's scheduled to join us a little bit later, too. FYI, the new rankings are posted. If you've been checking out the Billy C rankings, the new ones are posted. They're up on the site, www.billycboxing.com, under the rankings. And speaking of listeners, we had Makilio. Makilio is a Filipino listener, listens to us every day from the Philippines. And no, he's not a Manny Pacquiao fan. That's what I thought, too. Hey, speaking of Makilio, he just popped in the chat room on cue here. Just in time for me to tell everyone that we have the new poll question up, and it's thanks to Makilio. He was the one that suggested we put it up. Now, the last poll, as you all know, was who would have won if the two great fighters, Sugar Ray Robinson, stepped in the ring with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, the reason why we put this up there was because of all the Mayweather Jr. fans who are just so blinded by reality with this guy. I mean, it amazes me. And even every day when we read these emails, it's all about Floyd. Floyd. I mean, what a brainwash. This guy should be running a now. Forget it. I don't even want those words to come out. But the friends and backers and, disciples of Floyd Mayweather Jr. were not in the voting polls. They did not go out there and vote for their man, or if they did, they knew deep down they didn't have a chance because of over 1,600 votes. We had 1,200 and something for Sugar Ray Robinson, which gave him a final total of 86% of you voted for him to beat the snot out of Floyd Mayweather Jr., who only took in 14% of the votes, about 200 people. So congratulations to everyone that voted for Sugar Ray Robinson. There's no way that Floyd would have beaten Robinson, in my opinion. So that's that. Now, thanks to Makilio, we have the new poll question up. It's up there right now. I already noticed just before I came on air that we have some votes already taking place. Who will win in their prime, considering they're both the same size, blah, blah, blah. Julio Cesar Chavez and Manny Pacquiao. Julio Cesar Chavez and Manny Pacquiao. Who wins? Go cast your vote right now, BillyCBoxing.com. Another good one. And one other thing I wanted to mention, tomorrow we got undefeated female bantamweight prospect Vanessa Greco out of Brooklyn is going to be joining us tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. As been the case for the last month or so, 2 months, I guess, we read the emails up front. So we'll kick off the show with one from Bernice. Bernice says, only someone with his head up his arse doesn't know that the Berto Ortiz rematch was scheduled for this June. The person merely asked the question, and instead of answering it or looking for it, the answer, you took it as a cheap opportunity to bash Berto's promoter. Well, Bernice always reminds me of that movie, right? Well, Bernice. I guess you weren't listening because I said when whoever asked me that out of the chat room, I said that I thought that fight was rescheduled because of an injury or something. But, yes, it did slip my mind. I only talk about boxing for 2 hours a day, and I certainly don't have my head up my arse. I don't know what's up your arse, Bernice, but obviously something different than a head. But the bottom line is this. I appreciate the email. You should listen to the whole show. And as far as a cheap shot at Berto's promoter, obviously you're referring to Lou DiBella. My hang-up with Lou, first of all, I like Lou. Lou DiBella is actually a friend. And, I promote all this stuff as much as I can. My hang-up with Lou is he's fallen into the category of opponent builder. And if you think I'm wrong about that, that's your opinion. But wait till we talk about some news a little later, and you'll see exactly why I feel the way I do. So thanks for the email, Bernice. Don't let the door hit you in the ace. We got skill versus pills. Is that Floyd? Come on, man. Is that you, Floyd? Are you under an alias? Skill versus pills says, what fighter goes to the championship his rookie year and holds it his entire career? Floyd Mayweather, that's who. When Floyd was a kid, not a single man could beat him in the ranks. No one has come close to date. He has heart. That's what people hate about him. They know Floyd won't back down. I don't know, man. This sounds like sounds like a sitcom. Sounds like a like Superman used to. First of all, he turned pro. If you're talking about rookie year as a professional, because I don't know if they call that a rookie year in the amateurs. And honestly, I don't know much about the amateurs. I just, I spend every hour, 18 hours a day on pro boxing. I certainly don't have enough time to go into the amateur ranks, although our very own Dax Khan is trying to spend more time with that. So maybe I'll be able to comment more on the amateurs. But at this point, I really don't know his amateur record. So if he was undefeated and no one beat him, more power to him. But as a professional, you're off. As far as the championship in his rookie year, he did become a world champion relatively quickly, but not in his rookie year. He turned pro in 1996 in the super featherweight division, and his first title he fought 4 and 1 was October 3rd, 1998. So it was almost 2 years to the day, and that's when he stopped Gennaro Hernandez and won his first title. So. Great email for a Floyd Mayweather fan, but I guess I don't understand. As far as heart, my whole point about his heart wasn't. It's just that I don't think it's been tested yet. How can you say he has heart? I mean, a fighter displays heart after they've been tested. A serious cut, a knockdown. That's what I mean. Just assuming a fighter has heart. Doesn't necessarily give, in my opinion, doesn't make him possess heart, And as far as what people hate about him, I don't think it's because he displays so much heart. As a matter of fact, I think most boxing fans admire fighters that show heart, even if their skill set isn't that good. You know, a great example is Arturo Gatti. You know, I mean, here's a guy that clearly didn't have as much skill as a lot of his colleagues, but you know, he definitely displayed heart every time. So, as far as I'm concerned, my only hang-up with Floyd is the man, not the fighter. I have nothing against the fighter, and I just don't like the person. And as far as heart, to me, he just hasn't displayed it yet. And I'm hoping he does, because I would agree that he probably has it, but we'll have to wait and see.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C Radio Show. You're checking us out on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. LDL TV plays us every night, and then some. Guess we're doing okay with some reruns on Ustream. Glad you guys could join us. Don't forget to vote. We got a poll question going on right now, brought in by a by a listener. Yeah, a listener. My man Mac from the Philippines wanted a question. Now, he's not a Manny Pacquiao fan. He's actually a Juan Manuel Marquez fan. But the poll question is in a dream matchup, although we don't usually do poll question dream matchups. We just don't do it. But because of the one that Sugar Ray Robinson kicked the snot out of Floyd Mayweather, this one was put up. So it's up there. Go cast your vote. Who would have won, Manny Pacquiao or Julio Cesar Chavez? Oh, man, that's a good one. Just remember, they had to be the same size and all that stuff. That's why we hate these dream matchups, but check it out. Another email. This one's from Ms. Goku. Ms. Goku says, Floyd has heart. He may not get up. You know, these all the Floyd stuff, man, you guys are killing me. Floyd has heart. He may not get the same opportunities that fighters like Pacquiao and other offensive first fighters do because of Floyd's defense first style. One thing I've noticed about Floyd is anytime he gets hit flush, he comes right back at you and walks you down The only real time Floyd was in trouble and showed it, and he showed heart, was to battle back and dominate the rest of the fight when Mosley nearly dropped him a couple of times in that fight. Well, let's go on. He says, Floyd isn't the type of fighter who gets to display his heart because he rarely gets hit or even tested for that matter, but every time Floyd gets hit, he temporarily becomes aggressive to revenge getting hit. Okay. He says, I rate Floyd's heart 8.5 out of 10, and Manny Pacquiao 10 out of 10, but Floyd does have underrated heart. He also says, okay, this is a different topic, but as far as heart, like I said, he showed, you make a good point. I think Miz makes a good point about, Floyd definitely trying to, be aggressive when he does get rocked. And if a fighter lands a punch flush, he does come back. So I think that's his mentality of wanting to dominate and control everything, So that's a good point there. And his defensive style first is key. I think that's kept him off the canvas and everything else, so I'm not going to deny that. As far as the fight against Mosley, you could look at that two ways. You could say Mosley never went after him again. We all saw that, but for me, I'm not questioning Floyd's skill set in any way, shape, or form. I just don't think he's been tested. Just being rocked, and remember, he didn't go down, he didn't get up. Just by being rocked doesn't show heart. I'm sorry, in my opinion. Miz also says every fight is ducked fights. The better the fighter you are, the more people are going to say that you ducked others, especially in this day and age with camera and a reporter at every turn, and the media and coverage of boxing is what it is today. People are always going to hate on the top fighters. Pax ducked and cherry-picked just as many as Floyd or any other top-level fighter has. Difference is we hear more about it today than we did 20 years ago. Thanks for the emails, Miz. That was some good stuff. I agree that I think that every fighter has a tendency to duck someone throughout their career. That didn't take place. That doesn't take place just now. That took place years ago as well. It all comes down to risk versus reward. But when you get to that upper echelon and you're only fighting once a year, and you're fighting for a legacy and the money that both of these guys you mentioned, Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, I think that puts you in a different class, and I think you need to fight the best, and that's just my opinion. Master Blaster is becoming a regular. He says, I think Floyd's defense is exceptional. His technique is good. Very good. He says, Floyd uses an entire ensemble of defensive skills, blocking, slipping, fencing, timing, positioning, effectively, which is rare in this sport. I'm a big fan of Charlie Burley. All right, me too, man. He says, which is why I like Floyd, as the styles are very similar. Using the shoulder as a shield, wide base, constant feinting to confuse your opponent, excellent positioning, ability to adapt, all characteristics both men share. One thing I want to point out about Charlie Burley that very easily, in my opinion, can define why I felt he has heart and proved it time and time again, where Floyd doesn't have heart or hasn't proved it yet. Let's make that clear. So for those of you viewers like Bernice who only listen to certain pieces, let me finish my sentence. All right. So who hasn't displayed it yet, in my opinion. Charlie Burley used to break his hand when he hit the bag. Charlie Burley used to break his hand when he held a pencil. Never once did he turn around and. As a matter of fact, one time he had broken hands the day of the fight. They basically taped him up a little extra and put him in the gloves. He was so used to that. Floyd Mayweather couldn't even fight, or claimed he couldn't fight Antonio Margarito because he had a bruised hand. Wanted more time than 6 months to heal. So. There's a small example of heart, in my opinion. Master Blesser also goes on, but he leaves that left shoulder a little low sometimes, which is where I think Sugar Ray Robinson would have been a threat, because he can knock you out with an overhand right, particularly if he uses that awesome feint of his to set up the punch. Anyway, this was a great debate. I hope you do some more of these matchups. I don't agree Sugar Ray Robinson just walks through Hagler. I think Sugar Ray Robinson would be a favorite, but Hagler had a tremendous chin. Yeah, I said that I thought that Sugar Ray Robinson would have beaten Hagler if I made it sound like he would just beat him like he was not even a competitor. You took it wrong, or I said it wrong, so I apologize for that. I don't think he would have walked through him either. I think Sugar Ray Robinson beats Hagler because of, I think it was you, Master Blaster, or someone else had said that Hagler takes a lot of punches, and even Floyd Mayweather Jr. would have landed shots on Hagler. Hagler would have wore down Floyd. I don't think he wears down Robinson, but anyway. He also says, I think a Floyd Sugar Ray Leonard fight would have been a toss-up because I suspect Floyd may be able to time him. And he says, watch Floyd's father fighting Leonard. However, I think Hearns kills Floyd. That's just a bad style for Floyd. Yeah, I can't disagree with that, man. I think Floyd. When people say he's the greatest of all time, and you see, that's my hang-up with Floyd. It's not his skill. I'm not bashing him because of his skill. It's the person. It's the guy that waves the money in your face. It's the guy that's burning $100 bills. It's the guy who tells us all when he wins a bet, and doesn't tell us when he loses a bet. It's the guy that goes in front of a Ustream camera, in front of his boys, in front of his cronies, in front of his friends, and acts like the kid in the that's trying to take the stage in high school, trying to be the center of attention, and says those things he said about Manny Pacquiao, in a prejudiced way. I mean, there's ways of calling somebody out and stuff, and then there's ways that are classless, and I just think that Floyd is a classless guy. I'm not taking anything away from his abilities or anything like that. So, and as far as his heart goes, I like I keep saying, I just think that a fighter has to prove his heart by coming back from something, either a knockdown, a serious cut, some adversity, something, and show us that he can put that behind him and get back into gear. You could easily say, oh, well, the reason why is because he's so good. And my hang-up really with a guy like Floyd is he says he's the greatest fighter of all time. You're not supposed to say that. You see, in boxing, the best thing about boxing is that you get that respect. All you have to do is earn it. And by earning it, all you have to do is go and fight your best and your hardest every time out. And the fans will give you that. You don't have to tell people how great you are. That's the thing about boxing. The guys that have to constantly tell everyone, I think they're trying to tell themselves. There are so many fighters that would have beaten Floyd. I mean, we can't see it. We can't go back in time. We don't have a time machine. All these reasons. But the truth of the matter is there's so many great fighters that would have beaten Floyd Mayweather. I mean, let's be real. He just mentioned, my man, Master Blaster, just mentioned Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns is a great example. Hagler's another one. We all agree, most of us all agree. Sugar Ray Robinson, another one. How does he do against some of these fighters? Talk about defensive fighters. How does he do against the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Famer Marlon Starling? Marlon Starling is one of the most underrated fighters in the history of the sport in recent times. You go look at his record. All the Mayweather fans are going to look at his record and see 6 losses. Ask him, or go better yet, go watch the 6 fights, and you tell me, of those 6 fights, how many fights that Marlon Starling actually lost? One. Those other 5 fights are all robberies, highway robberies. Not even Ray Charles saw that he won those fights. So, come on. Unfortunately, we can't go back in time and do this. But anyway, hey, listen, I got to take a break. And when I come back, I got a couple of more emails to read. And I see my man Tony Treem is in the house.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York and the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. radio show. I want to give a shout out to WMML. It's not too far from where we're broadcasting. I also want to welcome the Fight Now audience that's just joining us. And if you don't have the Fight Now television channel on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them. Tell them I want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. I mentioned the chat room. You know, we have many different streams and stuff going on right now for the live viewers that are either up real early, like my man Tony is from Vegas. So, geez, it's like 3 a.m. He probably didn't even go to bed. But, you know, or if it's a different time zone, like my man Mac from the Philippines, he's in the chat room right now. I think it's around 6 o'clock at night. We got the British people, those people from England or the UK. I got to be careful because I know we got some Scots. They're usually like 5 or 6 hours ahead. But if you want to chat, I know there's other chat rooms, all right. But the one that we respond to is the one that's in the Billy C Boxing page. So if you go to the website www.billycboxing.com, you'll see an area that says chat. Click that. You create a username right there, and bam, you're in. And make your comment. We'll talk about that. Right now, we're going over the last of the emails. We're scheduled to have Alex Pierpaoli join us in a few minutes. He's going to be talking about some stuff, and then we're going to get into our blast from the past, which is going to be on Panama Al Brown. So we'll be looking forward to that. A couple more emails we got to wrap up the mailbag here. From Dirty Mateo. He says, Gamboa isn't scared to fight anyone. This is a response to a show that was last week or the week before when I was talking about Gamboa, and I felt that I thought it was a good move for Yuriorkis Gamboa to hook up with Mayweather Promotions, if that's true. at the time. It was added, in the news, headline in the news. He says, Dirty Mateo says, Gamboa isn't scared to fight anyone. Top Rank tried to screw him over with the deal. More power to him for not wanting to give in to Arum and his cronies. I agree, man, and I said that during that show. First of all, I'm a firm believer of contracts and people that have to stick by their contract, man. They sign a contract, and that's that. If Gamboa, and I said this before, if Gamboa signed the contract, if he actually signed the contract, then he should take his medicine. But we also know that Bob Arum is the devil of boxing, and we all know that he says things that aren't true a lot. And I suspect that he did not sign a piece of paper. Now, whether he indeed had a verbal contract with Bob Arum or not, and I'm saying he meaning Gamboa, at this particular case, although maybe Judge Judy would honor a verbal contract between me or you, I doubt a verbal contract is going to hold up when Bob Arum is involved and a fighter is involved. So, I say more power to Gamboa, too. It was a stupid fight. He was moving up not one but two weight classes to fight a guy that can't even make that weight class that he was moving up to. So it was a clear case of Bob Arum trying to get rid of Gamboa because he knows that he's not going to re-sign with him. And I like Gamboa, and I like Rios. So, I agree with my man or my lady, whoever. I shouldn't say my man, my listener, Dirty Mateo. So one last one from Bobby, who's been coming up with some great stuff. He says, how many belts per division do you think would be good? Personally, I think there's too many, which is what you seem to think as well. I think there should be one belt per division, maybe two, and that's it. It makes becoming a world champion legit. It brings drama to who holds the belt, so we have country wars and excitement and actual acknowledgement for who holds the title. There would be far less ducking. Everyone would be happy. Everyone would be forced to fight everyone for the title. I love it. Everyone would be happy, except for the sanctioning bodies. I agree, and I think that there should be one world champion for every weight class. I agree with Bobby on this 100%. Thanks for the email, Bobby. The problem is that the sport of boxing let all these sanctioning bodies infiltrate the sport. And what's made it even worse and what's gotten them embedded into boxing, and the reason why we can't just wave a magic wand, my magic pen here, and make them all disappear, is because the fighters themselves and the promoters and the managers, the same people that criticize the sanctioning bodies, are the ones that feed them. They're the ones that put value in those belts, and the networks are to blame as well. Because today, a network exec that's making a decision to put a fight on a card isn't even considering a fight unless somebody has a belt. Now, these guys that are making the decision, those bean counters, those suits, if you will, probably don't know a left hook from a fish hook, but their thought process of selling the show, selling it to get viewers and stuff, it's got to be a title fight. It's got to be a title fight, otherwise nobody's going to watch it. So I think that that's the reason. You make a great point about one champion for every weight class and why it would be better for boxing, because not only would it be better for us to recognize and acknowledge world champions for each division, it would really filter out the garbage of fighters. Because think about it. If there was one champion for every weight class, that means we would only have 10 top contenders, the way it used to be. And when you made it to number 10, you were a pretty damn good fighter. If you were the 10th best fighter at middleweight in the world, you were a damn good fighter. Now, conceivably, we could have 50 guys that are ranked at number 10 at middleweight. 50. You could have 50 number 10. So you're not number 10. You could be number 50 in the top 10. So come on, man. I agree 100%. I wish that if the powers that be could wave a magic wand, and we can do that. I got a comment from my man Tony. Now, this isn't an ordinary Tony. This isn't like a yo Tony. This is Tony that's going to be presenting our heavyweight spotlight beginning next week. So Tony Trima, he's made a special appearance here. He's got toothpicks keeping his eyes open. He's out in Vegas right now, and he says in the chat room, Billy, I don't think the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight will ever happen. Mayweather's afraid of Pacquiao, and Pacquiao is damn glad he is. This was a statement that Tony made to me in an email. And I love the wording because it's true. You know, I don't think, and I don't think Tony thinks because he's a boxing historian, no fighter is really afraid of anyone. They're not afraid because they wouldn't be fighting. They wouldn't be a fighter. But they're afraid of other things that are associated with the fight. And I kind of agree with Tony. And I agree with the ultimatum that HBO has given those guys. You know, if that fight isn't made by November, it's over. They're not even going to pursue it anymore. And, you know, I don't want to see these two guys fighting at 40 years old. You know, Floyd Mayweather, I mean, we all knock him, and everybody is all, well, I knock him. You know, he's older than Pacquiao. You know, so, you know, I agree. He's afraid to fight him, and Pacquiao's damn glad he is because basically what Tony's saying, neither one of them want to fight each other. You know, too much risk. But in this case, there's a lot of reward, 100 million rewards. Why? You know? But anyway. You know, Makilio says, or Mac, I'm going to keep saying, Mac says, what's next after the silver belt? A bronze belt? You know, remember, that's the WBC and Jose the Trollman Suleiman trying to make it seem like, you know, they have something different than everyone else with the interim belt and stuff like that. So David Allen is in the house, and David Allen should know, should say hello to my man Tony T, who's in the chat room as well. You know, earlier when I kicked off the show, I talked about an emailer who I guess doesn't like me, Bernice. And Bernice was critical of me taking a shot at, on yesterday's show, taking a shot at Lou DiBella. Now, you know, my hang-up with Lou is the same as it is with every other promoter except the top three. And it's really only 2.5 now. You know, in my opinion, the best promoter that's alive today and will probably go down in the history of the sport as being the best promoter, even though I think the promoters around when my guy, the book that I wrote on Tom Molyneux, you know, even though when he was around, those promoters got to get a lot of credit for getting 10,000 people to show up at events with no date, no time, no location on the tickets. So obviously they knew what the hell they were doing. And, oh, by the way, no phones, no, you know, the newspapers were days old when they got them, you know. So, I mean, you know, I give those guys credit. But the guy that's going to go down in history as being the best promoter is Don King. There's no question about it. As a matter of fact, we're trying to coordinate a special show that Don and I are going to do together. It's going to be on LDL TV. We're going to go down to Florida. We're actually going to try to broadcast it live on Fight Now. And it's going to be just Don and I talking boxing. So it's going to be a great time. I can't wait for that. But with that said, Don is not as active as he used to be. But I still classify him as one of the top three. All right, I just do. You know, realistically, there's probably only two, and those two are Bob Arum and Top Rank, of course, and Golden Boy Promotions. Now, every other promoter, including Lou DiBella, who I am critical of, seem to have changed their model of being promoters, and now all they do is they take and they build up their fighter against very low risk, low cost opposition. Case in point, Dan Goosen and Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola was a top contender, gets his world title shot. Dan Goosen cashes out. They wiped his slate clean. Now Chris Arreola, go look, since he's lost his fight against Klitschko, go look at the level of opposition, and he's just biding his time. He's going to get another shot, and they're going to make their money. Dan Goosen's taking no risk of putting Chris Arreola in with another contender. None at all. All right? He's building him up. Lou DiBella, I'm vocal about because he has arguably the third best pound-for-pound fighter in the world today. And no one knows who he is. No one knows who he is. Everyone knows who Floyd Mayweather is because Floyd Mayweather promotes himself. Everyone knows who Manny Pacquiao is because Bob Arum and Top Rank promote Manny Pacquiao. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows who Bob Arum's fighters are, for the most part. Most people know who Golden Boy's fighters are, for the most part. Why? Because both of those guys invest money in their promotional outfit and promote their fighters. They get the word out there, whether they're doing a coast-to-coast tour, whether they're doing an article, whether they're paying to have this guy showcased on a show, whatever it is, they do it. All right? Lou DiBella, Dan Goosen, my man Joe from Star Boxing, all these other guys, Birchfield, all these other guys, all right, are developing fighters at a low cost, and they're hoping for their world title shot against one of these two top guys' fighters. That's my criticism of Lou DiBella. Bernice, I guess, doesn't get that, all right? And if you don't get it, let's just take a look at what's hot on the news today. Today's hot news is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is all set for his next fight. It's taking place on HBO, and it's going to be June 16th. It's against Sergio Martinez, right? Because that's the fight, right? Wasn't that supposed to be the fight before his last fight? Wasn't that the fight that Lou DiBella cried about and begged and demanded that the WBC do something about this? Wasn't that the fight that Sergio Martinez was stripped for no reason of his regular old title, and then he got the super diamond-studded Mongoose super duper title from the WBC, and then now he's got to wait on line to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. for the regular old world title? Isn't Lou mad about that? Not today. Lou's not mad today. You know why? Because his other fighter signed to fight Chavez Jr. So now he gets a payday there, and he says, oh, it's okay, because now Sergio Martinez is going to fight the winner of the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Andy Lee. Oh, by the way, it's Andy Lee. Okay, so Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Andy Lee are signed to fight June 16th, and I don't have a right to be critical to Lou DiBella for waiting and waiting and waiting. You know, hey, there's nothing wrong with Lou DiBella saying, you know what, I'm not going to wait around for Manny Pacquiao. I'm not going to wait around for Floyd Mayweather. I'm going to offer another top fighter in the middleweight division, whoever that other fighter would be, even if it's Julio Cesar Chavez, you know, even if it's one of the other champions, and say, hey, I'm going to offer this guy a decent amount of money. Come on over and fight. Come on over and fight. And that's another thing. You have Sergio Martinez, who, is a talented fighter. Nobody knows who he is. And where does he end up? He's Argentine, right? He's an Argentine fighter. You know, where does he fight? At Madison Square Garden. Yeah. I mean, listen, I know there's a huge population of Mexicans and Mexican Americans in New York. I know that there's a huge population of every single nationality and belief, and that's what I love about my state of New York. But you want to know something? I honestly don't know how many people from Argentina live in New York. I don't know how many people with the background of being Argentine. I don't know how many of them. And yet Sergio Martinez fights in New York. So when people say, you know, why are you being critical of Lou DiBella, this is why. And he even says, and I quote, I've taken my swipes at this kid, so I'm giving the kid props for taking this fight. Now all of a sudden he's giving him props. Do I have to go back in the archives and pull out some of the stuff that he was saying about Chavez and Bob Arum and everything else? Now he's giving him props. Why? Because he's fighting his other fighter, so he's going to get a payday there. You know, that's the kind of fight a champion takes, DiBella said. It also says to me that he's serious about Martinez if he wins because he's taking on a lefty. And I don't think he's doing that if he didn't think he'd fight Martinez if he won. How many times has Chavez said he's going to fight Martinez after this next fight? Isn't it? This would be the fourth fight, right? At least the third. I'm thinking it could even be the fourth, but it's probably the third fight. And Bernice, help me out here, man, because I don't know much about boxing. But I mean, I'm almost positive it's his third fight. That he said the next one it's going to be Martinez. And now all of a sudden DiBella is supporting him. He says this is a fight that Andy has been waiting for. He was pissed that he didn't get to Martinez in March, so he's thrilled about this opportunity. He knows it's the opportunity of a lifetime. HBO got themselves a good fight here. And you know what? Lou DiBella got himself a good deal because Lou DiBella is going to make some money with Bob Arum on this fight. And guess what? Should Andy Lee upset and I do believe it would be an upset if Andy Lee, because to me, Andy Lee doesn't have much skill. He doesn't have much skill. You know, I don't even know why people even like him, to be honest with you. But, you know, if Andy Lee can get by Julio Cesar Chavez, what does that leave Lou? You know, I tell you what, it leaves Lou in a tough position, doesn't it? Because now he has to make a fight between Andy Lee and Sergio Martinez, two of his own guys. You know, because that's the deal. Now, if he makes that fight, how much money you think Lou will make? Because he's not going to give these guys the money that they would get if they fought. Let's face it, Andy Lee is probably going to make more money fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And should Chavez Jr. beat Andy Lee, which I think he will, when Martinez fights Chavez Jr., he'll make more money fighting Chavez Jr. than he would if he fights Andy Lee. Why? Because it's coming out of Bob Arum's pocketbook. That's why. So, I mean, come on, man. You know, people can be critical of me for being critical of other people like Lou. But, you know, my point about Lou is I have nothing against Lou. I happen to like Lou. Lou is one of my favorite guys. Just because I'm saying that I disagree with him not opening up his checkbook, it's a fact. It's a fact. He doesn't want to be the king of the promoters in New York. Nobody does. They want to just be whoever. They want to get the most money for the least amount of risk and the least amount of expense. You know, if you don't understand that, you don't understand the business of the sport. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's the way it is. You know, this was a fight that's taking place probably as we speak. I don't know what the time difference in Russia. Are they allowed to have clocks in Russia? No, that's right. It's a new Russia. Sorry. But Denis Ledebev. Now, I love this guy. I think that if I'm Denis Ledebev and I'm a guy, first thing I should learn how to pronounce my name. I'm probably saying it wrong. But Denis Ledebev is a guy that, in my opinion, is one of the best cruiserweights out there. I think that if this guy was able to come to this country and learn a little of the sweet science, I tell you what, you know, I'm critical of Floyd Mayweather Jr. because I don't like the man, but I would love a Floyd Mayweather Jr. team to get a guy like Ledebev, bring him over to the States. Show this guy some defense. Show this guy, you know, how to fight. And who would beat Denis Ledebev if this kid could defend himself and actually put more than a couple of wild punches together? This is a barbaric fighter. You know, he's a barbaric fighter that you can't hurt, and he wears you down. He's a big version of Andrade, right? Liberato Andrade. I'm pretty sure that's, you know, he's a big version of him, right? And you know, that's scary. That's scary. Could you imagine if somebody took the time to teach this guy some stuff? I know he's a little older, but could you imagine how dangerous? First of all, nobody would fight him. You know, he can't even get people to fight him now. Well, he's fighting Sean Cox, and it's going to be taking place at the Crocus City Hall in Russia momentarily. I guess it's tonight. It's called Wednesday night, but I don't know what the time difference is. You know, so I don't know what the time difference is. But we'll have to wait and see. But Welsh Devil Rob, see, I told you the chat room. Now we got the Scottish. You see, yesterday I made a statement about English fans or the UK listen. No, I didn't say UK. I said whatever. England, British. I think I used British, and Welsh, of course, speaks up and says, well, "Don't forget the Scots. Don't forget the Scots, man." And I know I'm saying it. I just get he's correcting me as I speak. But anyway, who the hell knows? But anyway, who the hell knows? Maybe Alex Papali knows. He joins us right now. What's up, my man?
Only the shadow knows.
That's right. Did you ever watch that? Hey, did you ever listen to the you have satellite in your car, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, let me tell you. Was
the real joy of that Jupiter car ride, man, all those 80 stations.
That's right. Oh, did I make you sit through those? I did, didn't I?
Those 80 stations, and then we listened to some of the radio plays. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love listening to the Shadow and stuff. And as a matter of fact, there's a new TV channel I've been watching. It's called Me TV, and I was flipping through the channel the other day, and I'm watching the old Green Hornet stuff I used to watch as a kid, and the music for that show. First of all, to see Bruce Lee as like a kid is pretty funny, but the music for that show was used in the Kill Bill series. Remember when Irma Thurman flies across and they show you that bogus, flying across the country or whatever to Japan, and the music that they're playing in the background was the opening music for the Green Hornet, which I totally forgot. But anyway,
oh wow,
that's on our Siskel and Ebert show. I was just talking about, I got criticized early in the show. I don't know how long you've been listening, but I got criticized early in the show about jumping on DeBella yesterday.
Lou bashing.
Yeah, I was Lou bashing. But it's not because I don't like Lou, and you know that. I like Lou DeBella, and we support all his shows and all that stuff. But, this is a great example. The announcement that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. now is fighting Andy Lee, and Lou DeBella is happier than a pig, and you know what. And this is the same guy that's been crying and bashing and, because he wants his other fighter to fight him, and now you find out, oh, that's right, Andy Lee is one of Lou's guys, now he's happy about that.
Yeah, it works out nice, huh? I mean, I guess that's the fun of being a promoter, if one of your guys can't get the shot, then maybe one of the other ones do. I think it's going to be, should be an interesting fight. I think that's a fight that Chavez can win, and that's probably why that fight was made over the Martinez fight. So, yeah, I guess if you're Lou, you're happy that you made it, but I'm sure he's still hoping to make the Martinez one at some point because he knows that that's one that his guy's likely to win. I'm not sure Andy Lee is going to win against Chavez.
No, but the point is that I lost track. I'm saying that there was at least 3 times in Chavez's last 3 fights that he promised that he would fight Sergio Martinez if he got past that last fight. And it's been 3 times he said that. And now it's 4 because the winner of this fight gets Martinez. That's the deal.
Oh, okay.
So, we've heard that before. Hey, one other thing before we take a break and come back with the blast. Juanma Lopez, we've been talking about this poor kid since his second knockout loss to Salido, and listen, he lost. We all agree that he shouldn't have been put up in front of the microphone by Jim Gray and all of that happy stuff, and he probably didn't even realize what he was saying, but nonetheless, he said something bad. But the kid has stood up. He's apologized. He's done it 3 times. He's done it through the media. Ramirez refuses to accept it. It's not good enough for him. Now he gets banned from the WBO, and it was just released yesterday that the Puerto Rican Boxing Commission has banned him for a year. Are they being a little too hard on this guy or what? What's your thoughts?
I think so. I don't see why there's a ban necessary. I mean, I think, like you said, what he's done already is enough. And I think that I don't know. I've never been to Puerto Rico. I don't know what the boxing scene is like there. I don't know how much damage those comments must have done. Evidently to the referee, it certainly seems like it's a big deal. So, I don't mean to make light of it, but I think like as you just pointed out, the fact was that this was a guy who was concussed, and I don't think that we should take what he says as to be so slanderous, when, he's not in his right mind, at least temporarily. All that being said, in a way, a year off could probably help Lopez after the beatings he's taken. When you think about it, how many fights is he going to miss in today's day and age? I mean, even a guy like Lopez who is pretty active, how many in 1 year, how many fights do you think he'd actually have? Maybe 3, maybe 2. So it's not a catastrophic, time to take off, but it's a very different thing when you're taking a rest compared to being, barred from fighting. And in that sense, I think it's absolutely excessive. And it just seems as a precedent, come on, this is boxing. It's not like the NBA or the NFL where, they do have these sort of strange morals, sort of clauses and stuff where guys have to, they can't speak out against the league or, do something that casts aspersions on the league. I mean, boxing has its, underbelly and its ugly underbelly at times, and I think that a year ban is excessive.
Yeah, considering the circumstances surrounding it, I'm shocked that the Puerto Rican Commission acted so hard. And the only thing I can think of, to be honest with you, is that maybe this kid hit home. Maybe this kid ruffled some feathers enough to maybe expose somebody that was gambling. It's almost like when you're under the influence of alcohol. It's like a truth serum, and I'm not so sure. I don't know this statistically, so I don't want to hear anything from Bernice. But the thing is maybe when you're sort of in a semi-conscious state after being knocked out, maybe you are speaking truth, or maybe you're just babbling nonsense. Either way, I could see why Ramirez is upset, but I agree. I think it's way too long. I think that he's become a poster child. And come on, you're able to take a chunk off of somebody's ear and spit it onto the mat and serve a year, and then you call somebody a gambler and you're serving the same sentence. I mean,
well, maybe that's the thing. That's why I said, I don't know what the situation is in Puerto Rico. I mean, maybe there had been rumors about this guy before, and that was sort of the last straw to see a fighter get that kind of airtime on international TV. I don't know, but yeah, it definitely seems excessive to me.
Yeah, no, it does. Well, hey, listen, don't go anywhere, Alex. We're going to stick you on hold here for a minute. We got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be doing the blast from the past. So don't go anywhere, Alex, and don't any of you guys go anywhere either.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
You beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now channel. That's right, man. TV, baby. And you need the Fight Now channel on your television set. You need to call your local TV provider and tell them that you want Fight Now. That's it. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. Pick up the phone and call them. Whether it's cable or satellite dish, you want the Fight Now channel. Remember, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And I want to remind everybody, May 18th, ESPN is coming to Albany. Ray Serrano is taking on Kareem Mayfield. That's going to be a good fight. We're going to have tickets that you can win right here on the show. We'll also have the fight poster up as soon as it's sent to us, and you can get tickets directly by clicking that fight poster. But it looks like a good one. I'm planning on being there for sure. But right now, we're looking at
Blast from the Past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top ranking. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past, which is sponsored by the International Boxing Organization, where their computerized ranking system is second to none. As a matter of fact, you can check it out right now, www.iboboxing.com. Features former world champion. He was a world champion for quite a long time, and he's a Boxing Hall of Famer, is Panama Al Brown. And presenting that, like he does every week, is my man, Alex Pierpaoli. Now, this one was another one that was requested by a listener, right, Alex?
Yep, it was requested by on Twitter by Boxing Bugle.
All right, cool, man. Well,
Yeah,
you know how we aim
requested a couple guys from us. He requested Turpin and Buchanan, and now Panama Al.
Well, good, man. I love trying to keep the listeners happy. So tell us about old Panama Al. He didn't end up with any kind of mosquito bite diseases or anything, did he?
Well, he did. He did have a tragic and too soon death.
Come on. Let's save that. I know that's your favorite part of these guys. So let's get to that at the end.
Yeah, the comets of the sport, the guys that burn real hot and burn out young, are always fascinating. And poor Panama Al was another one of those type of guys.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that, which I found some of the other situation and circumstances surrounding his death leading up to it, and the time is pretty interesting to me, and I'll get to that when we get to it. But now, he was born in Panama, so tell us about how he got into boxing and all that stuff.
He sure was, yeah. He was born July 5th, 1902, in Colón, Panama. His real name is actually Alfonso Teofilo Brown, and he was one of three children. He was biracial. He was the son of a husky Western miner and a tall, willowy mother, and it's probably his mother was from the Caribbean, of African descent, and it's probably from his mom where he got his freakish height. He was 5'11" tall, and he fought at the startlingly low weight class for that weight. For that height of bantamweight, which is only a 118-pound limit. So we're talking about a string bean of a man, basically a 6-footer, just about 6 feet tall. And sometimes, the descriptions of his appearance varied from complimentary to, downright derogatory. One of them called him a grotesque assemblage of pipe stem arms and legs. He was called a lean licorice stick, or elongated and spidery. He had speedy footwork and quick hands, and of course a ridiculous reach, bigger than a heavyweight's reach. His reach was 76 inches, and he had surprising power for those willowy, spidery looks. He could outscore other bantamweights about average size because he had somewhat defensive style, and of course he could keep guys away with the long straight punches. He started fighting in the Panama Canal Zone. 1914 was when the canal was completed. So, and there was American military stationed there, supervising the canal construction, and he started boxing after seeing American servicemen boxing there as recreation. And his rise to prominence was very rapid. He fought his first few bouts in Panama and then moved to New York City. He actually ran away from home and was sort of smuggled there and got to New York and got to Kid Norfolk's gym. And that's who Kid Norfolk hooked him up with his first manager. And that's where once he started boxing in New York. And, he strung together quite a few wins and became, not long before he became the Ring's Fighter of the Year, and or the Ring considered him the third best bantamweight, and so did Tex Rickard looked at him as the third best bantamweight in the world as of 1927.
Well, interesting. A couple of things. First, his height. The guy the guy he reminds me of that we can relate to today. And for all the viewers and listeners out there, if you're trying to picture this guy, I mean, obviously there's some footage of him and also some photos of him that you can look up. But Celestino Caballero's got to be the closest guy to him. I think they're almost identical in height and physique. But I think Celestino might be in a weight class above him, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think that would be a good comparison, because you can't help but think of, like Mark Breland. But Mark Breland is more than 20 pounds heavier. So, yeah, a Caballero-sized and shaped guy is probably what we're talking about.
Now, he also was a champion, which in the era, we talk about this today, and I had an emailer this morning mentioning, shockingly enough, Floyd Mayweather Jr. And, made the statement, he was a little incorrect. He says, ever since his first year as a pro, he's been a champion. He's been a champion ever since, which is not the case. But this guy he was a world champion for 6 years. I mean, pretty much universally recognized as the world champion in the bantamweight division for 6 years. And during that era, with all these great fighters, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, it sure was. And, I mean, he did have to, like a lot of other fighters of color, ended up, not doing as well in terms of getting fights here in the States because, we had, Jim Crow laws were alive and well in a lot of parts of America. And in 1926, he started fighting in Paris, which had an affinity for fighters and entertainers of color, especially, like I said, when racism here was still pretty rampant. And at the time, the two biggest stars in Paris were black, and the way that the American papers seemed to talk about it, to them, it seemed startling. One was the gorgeous singer and entertainer Josephine Baker, and the other was Panama Al Brown. But that relationship didn't stay so warm and fuzzy. Panama Al eventually did become almost like, in terms of other fighters I was thinking of that we've done in the blast here, was maybe like Al Bummy Davis, where it got to a point where he put asses in the seats because people wanted to see him lose. Unfortunately for Panama Al, that became the case, because there were times where he had a little bit of a defensive style, and there were a few bouts in France where there was literal riots afterwards because they didn't like the decisions that happened. One of them, this one I thought was crazy, and this, I think, this was in 1932 in July. The crowd was so upset with one of the judges who had given the fight against, who was this, Kid Francis, that Al Brown fought. One of the judges gave Al Brown the decision. The crowd went nuts and beat him up and tore up his scorecard. So talk about, how Teddy Atlas a lot of weeks will will go on and, rail against these bad judges. Talk about instant karma for a judge having the crowd single you out and rip up your scorecard and beat you up.
Well, I tell you, only in boxing. I mean, we've read stuff on the blast. People think it's bad now, but we've read instances where like Wyatt Earp with the gun, flashing his gun around in the ring, stopping fights, all this stuff. Bat Masterson, that's who pretty much did it as well. This kid, Panama Al Brown, fought everybody. You know how we always say that with the blast. But really, in his 15th pro fight, and he lost a newspaper decision. I mean, he fought Tommy Kid Murphy in his 15th pro fight. He had some great fights against Johnny Breslin a few times, and Eddie O'Dowd, and interesting enough, Abe Goldstein. Now, a lot of people remember that he lost to Abe Goldstein in 1926. Abe Goldstein eventually was wasn't he the same guy? He was a referee for years, and I believe wasn't he the one that passed out at the Sugar Ray Robinson and Joey Maxim fight? Wasn't that Abe Goldstein?
I think that was Ruby Goldstein.
Oh, Ruby Goldstein. Yeah, but I think that's the same guy.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
I think Ruby and Abe. I think that was his nickname, but I could be wrong. One of the brainiacs here. We got a plethora of experts in the chat room that I'm sure is going to correct me if I'm wrong. So we'll wait for that. And I don't see anyone named Bernice in there. So yeah, we'll probably get somebody to correct this. But
yeah, if Tony Treen's in there, I'm sure he would know. He gave me some help on my essay for the first Black Boxing Champions book that we were both in.
Yeah, he's there.
That's a great addition to the show. I'm looking forward to his segment.
Yeah. Now, Battling Batano, he fought. He fought Pete Zivic.
And Newsboy Brown, two other guys that we've done in Blast.
Yep. And there was a name that came up that we got to look into. I've never heard this name before. But did you catch in 1932 in March, he fought a guy by the name of Golf Ball Bernard. We've come up with some great names for opponents and stuff. And I tell you, I have never seen that name come anywhere, and interesting to see. Another thing that a name came up, and I wanted you to mention this and straighten me out here. But in 1941, this was well after his career was pretty much over. He was still fighting. He fought Battling Nelson. Now, that can't be the same Battling Nelson, right? I mean, this is 1941. If that's the original Battling Nelson, he must have been 60 years old. Which Battling Nelson was that? Do you know?
No, I didn't. Yeah, it's definitely not the same. Yeah, it's got to be somebody's just using the name. Yeah, I didn't even a fight report. I couldn't find a fight report on that one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think that's just got to be somebody else. Yeah, because at that point, that was a sort of ill-advised comeback where he put together a few wins in Panama, and
yeah, but here's the difference. In a comeback, this guy fought, in his last comeback was 1 year. He had already amassed 7 fights, and realistically, he didn't do too bad in those fights. He won 4, 3 of them by knockout. He lost 2, and he had a draw. I mean, so, here's a guy that he's, let's see. Oh, no, I thought I read, we're getting, I'm trying to, they're looking up that info for us to see if Ruby and Abe are the same guy. But his last fight was a 10-round decision against Kid Fortune, which was another name that pops up on a lot of these old-time great fighters' resumes.
Yeah, he definitely has a pretty substantial resume, that's for sure. And he definitely, and I mean, just his wins, battling, this guy's name, I'm going to have a hard time with. Those fights were really good fights. The ones, Baltazar Sanchili.
Oh, yeah, you said it exactly how I would have.
Yeah, that's the Spanish fighter, and he had a couple of wins over him. No, he lost to him, and then he did defeat him eventually in 1938. So, yeah, I mean, the thing that was interesting was that his personal life became, I mean, this guy he could play almost any musical instrument. He spoke 3 languages, fluently. He spoke Spanish and French fluently. English he learned a little later in life. He was romantically linked to the French poet and filmmaker Jean Cocteau, who he was reportedly gay. One of the few fighters that we know of that, and again, there's no way to verify it now, but he may have been gay. Jean Cocteau was a homosexual, and it's possible that for a while Cocteau managed Al Brown when he lived in Paris, and they might have had a little relationship as well. That seems to, especially here in the States, that seemed to be part of why, for a while, it seemed difficult for him to get fights over here. Not only the race being a problem for some promoters, but his sexual orientation.
Yeah, well, maybe the guy managed a little too deep. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that I would think that it's got to be difficult to be romantically involved with the fighter you're managing.
Well, Tony and Murphy have come back with the data, and Rudy and Abe are two different Goldsteins. So
they are. Okay.
I was wrong. But anyway, his death.
I thought this was pretty interesting, Bill. Was boxing? There's a lot of times where there's a fusion between this sport, which can be so, people can look at it as so primitive, where it's two guys, naked from the waist up, just cracking each other in the head. It's right on the cutting edge of science and technology. And during the fight with Knud Larsen in Copenhagen, remember, boxing was one of the very first things that was ever filmed, was a boxing exhibition. Well, along those same lines, when Panama Al fought Knud Larsen in Copenhagen, there were so many people that were intrigued by the fight, they had an airplane flying over the town, and it would show the progress of the fight by showing two different colored lanterns, a red lantern or a green lantern, to let green lantern, I didn't realize that, would let the crowd know who was winning. So it was sort of an airborne Paul Revere, if you will.
Well, I guess whoever was being subjective with the lanterns, you had to go by his opinion, huh? That wouldn't have lasted on this show, not with all of our opinions, right? It would be burning the place down with all the different lanterns would be lighting. But after his,
I know what is when you mix red and green together. What do you get for an even round?
They mix green and red together, and they're in a blaze because the plane is on fire in orange, right? But or yellow. But when he was finished with his boxing career, he finally hung him up in what year was it? 1942 in December after winning his last fight. He actually, you mentioned that he was into music. Well, he was in an orchestra for a while. I know he did that, and he made more money than most during his career. But like is the case with a lot of fighters, he ended up dying penniless. Now, the one thing that was I found interesting in his death was, and one of the things that led to his death was cocaine abuse, and he was actually arrested in the early 1940s for cocaine, and instead of putting him in jail, they deported him for a year. And people don't realize, you think of cocaine abuse and drug abuse in general, you're thinking of the 60s and later, but I've been watching a lot of the old Untouchables with Elliot Ness and all this stuff, the characters back in the 30s. And drugs were a big problem, not only cocaine, but heroin specifically.
Yeah, and Al Brown blamed boxing for that addiction because of the pain. He used it basically as pain management because as he got older in his career, the body doesn't respond as well, and the aches and pains of training and stuff and from injuries suffered in fights, he had some chronic pain that he used the drugs to sort of manage that. And one of the things that, through completely no fault of his own, he had made quite a a little fortune for himself over in France. And he had about $280,000 worth of property. Unfortunately, when the Nazis marched into France, they took it. They took it all. And, occupied France was not a safe place for, for Panama Al. So he left, of course, like a lot of people fled if they could. And that was one of the reasons why he, when he came back over here, he was broke. He had lost, basically a fortune, more than $250,000 worth of assets. He had lost to the Nazi takeover.
What, they didn't get it back? They took it over, and then after Germany was defeated in the war, they didn't give everything back? I mean, what's up with that?
Well, I think by then he was. Because he died in '47, so by then he was probably pretty sick. Because the war didn't end until '45, and he ended up with tuberculosis.
Now, I have him dying in 1951, but
51. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, he was 47.
He was 49, I thought.
49. Well,
get your facts straight, man. And another thing, with the whole cocaine thing, it wasn't from the pain. From what I have a quote here. I didn't use it for the pain. I like the smell of it. So I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah,
I'm only kidding.
I had a quote where he was saying
I'm only kidding. I didn't. I like the smell of it. Come on,
I
cocaine.
like the smell of it.
Come on, you're not even listening.
That's sort of like the Bill Clinton. I experimented with it,
I didn't
inhale.
Exactly. But Panama Al Brown, a former world bantamweight champion for over 6 years, he's an International Boxing Hall of Famer, had a career record, 134 wins, 62 of them coming by knockout. He had 19 losses and 13 draws. Here's a great statistic on Panama Al Brown. 19 losses, never was stopped in his whole career. We look at tall, lanky fighters today, and the first thing I always say is, oh, well, look at those skinny ankles. Look at those toothpicks. They're not going to last long. Here's a guy that had all those fights, never was stopped. Amazing. 76-inch reach, like Alex said, over 5'11", 1,343 rounds as a pro with a 37% knockout ratio. He died at 49 years old, much too young for a late great like Panama Al Brown. Great job with that one, Alex, as always. We find out some interesting stuff about these guys when we do the blast, huh?
Oh, yeah. I always love it. Especially, when you learn about different countries and what was going on in the time. We heard about the Panama Canal and occupied France. These guys, that's what's wonderful about boxing. It's an international sport. And when you get into the lives of these guys, you see how, they have, been part of history.
One thing I'm going to ask you, we only have a minute or two here, just in closing. We talked a lot about the Bute and the Carl Froch fight over the last couple of weeks. We've been discussing it, and, everyone, I don't think you'd find anyone that doesn't agree that it's going to be a really great matchup and everything else. But one thing that shocked me was the failure by the two big cable networks in HBO and Showtime to pick up the fight. Neither one of them had any interest in it, which I thought was ridiculous. They went on with it anyway, and it was announced that Epic, who's trying feverishly to get into the boxing business, they're going to broadcast it here in the States. What's your thoughts on that, about the two big guys passing up on that fight? And you do agree that this is a desirable fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, of course, I'd rather see Ward Bute, but it's a terrific consolation prize. It's like, door number 2.
Yeah, but Ward didn't want it. Ward didn't want the fight.
So
yeah.
because we can't see Ward Bute, and he had the injury, and just plain doesn't seem to. I don't get why he doesn't seem to want it. But I think it's a very good matchup, and good for Epics. They had a nice month there with some fights that weren't as exciting as others. Specifically Klitschko Mormak, but. It's nice. I just hope the feed works well.
Well, Dave Murphy
on the computer.
Dave Murphy just hit it on the head, and it's because Dan Goosen doesn't want to pay. Whenever these fighters and I mentioned, I know it was criticized by Bernice that these promoters, they're waiting, and if you don't think that a guy like Dan Goosen or Lou DiBella, that they're waiting around, and I understand that it's a smart business move and everything for them, low risk versus the biggest reward. But if you don't think that they're being bad for the sport, that practice is bad for the sport, consider this. If everybody's champion is waiting to fight either a top rank or a Golden Boy fighter, doesn't that unbalance the balance of the sport? Now the guys that are going to rise to the top are going to be the ones with the money, and that defeats the whole purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. And it makes a sort of, it becomes, I don't know, I mean, it becomes rather distasteful, because then you have almost this log jam at the top, at the upper echelons of the division, where maybe more worthy fighters aren't getting shots because they might not be as lucrative opponents as whoever those promoters see as the better dance partners for those Golden Boy fighters or whoever. And that is unfortunate, because they sort of lock out in the times that they're waiting for each other to get free or to get the best deal. Other guys are being, forced to sit there and wait, or take step-aside money, or just, fight lesser opponents. And that's unfortunate for the whole sport.
Yeah, and in the case of like a guy like Martinez, with Lou DiBella, he's waiting for Martinez to fight Chavez, and, because he wants Bob Arum to pay for it, and then he welcomes a fight with another one of his fighters to fight Chavez. And it's all relative. It's because the money is equal to Chavez Jr. So if you go in and fight Chavez Jr., you're going to get a big payday. So Lou obviously wants Martinez to fight him, but he's happy with the consolation prize, which is Andy Lee, another one of his fighters. So, I mean, if that's not proof in the pudding, and no disrespect to Lou, because everybody does it, if that's not proof in the pudding that boxing's being controlled by two major promotion companies, then I don't know what else you need to do.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's something that unfortunately we see that far too often. Where promoters, to the detriment of a lot of fighters, they control everything, and yeah, that's unfortunate. And I think the fact that either way, DiBella Promotions, is happy, because whether it's Andy Lee or Sergio Martinez, they're going to make money.
Right. Well, that's the sad part, that, the fans, once again, we're missing out, and the greed factor takes over. But, Alex, great job with the blast, as usual, and we'll look forward to next week, my man.
All right. Take care, Billy C.
All right. That's my man, Alex Pierpaoli, and he's doing the blast from the past like he does every week, and he did another great job. Hey, I got to take a break. We're scheduled to have the infamous, and I mean infamous, Joe Santoliquito on next in about 2.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the Winter Games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the Winter Games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing
with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's in some butter net, coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now TV channel. And if you don't have Fight Now, you got to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it. It's that simple. You got to ask for it, and you will get it. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of now, joining us, the infamous, and I do mean infamous, Joe Santoliquito. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Not too bad, brother. Not too bad. I got to ask you, and before I ask you some other stuff, did you happen to just did you watch Friday Night Fights last week? Did you catch it? There was nothing else on. Did you watch it?
No.
Of course not, Billy C. You know that I'd rather watch my trash burn than that. You know, because there was actually.
I think the tournament was on. I think I was watching tournament games.
Oh, okay. Well, it was actually a good one, so I won't even get into that. But, you know, I was criticized earlier on the show, and I actually, you know, I try to give everyone their time with emails, whether they like stuff that's going on in the show or not. And one of the criticisms were that I wasn't up to date because I forgot that I didn't know off the top of my head that Andre Berto rematch with Victor Ortiz was rescheduled for June or whenever it was. I didn't know the exact date, so I was criticized for that. But whatever. But the other thing is that I had bashed Lou DiBella a little bit, and not because of anything personal, because I happen to like Lou, but it's not just Lou. It's a generalization with promoters of today that they seem to be waiting for their fighter, whoever it will be in whatever weight class, for either a top-ranked fighter or a Golden Boy fighter to fight so that they can get the money rather than put up, their own fight. And case in point, Lou DiBella has been campaigning for Sergio Martinez to fight either Pacquiao or Mayweather, and now all of a sudden he's happy that, instead of Martinez, Andy Lee is going to be fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and he thinks that that's a good fight. What's your thoughts about that?
Andy Lee.
Well, Andy Lee has got the fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and they're saying that the winner will get Martinez, but they've said that at least 3 times previously with Chavez's last 3 fights.
See, Bob Arum, this is more credit to Bob Arum and more you know my feelings about Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, there's a name can only carry you so far. I know he's improved. I give the kid credit. I think he's a mediocre fighter at best. He's certainly not his old man. That's for sure. But, you know, when is he really going to fight somebody? You know, and I know what's going to happen. He gets in the ring with somebody, your Alvarez's, your Sergio Martinez's. You know, I think I'll give him credit because a couple of years ago I might have said he'd get destroyed. Well, you know what? I'm going to move slightly from that stance. I say he gets destroyed, but I say he puts up a fight. I say the kid fights back. and maybe even gets knocked down a few times and puts up a real battle. And I think I really have that feeling. I'm going to give him that respect that he would give any one of those guys a battle. But in the meantime, it's just enough already. Really.
Now wait.
Figure out somebody. I'm wondering if Bob Arum wasn't. Maybe it was Bob Arum in the back of my alley there Friday night when I was watching the trash instead of Friday Night Fights. Maybe he was just looking for an opponent for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Hi Joe, how you doing? I'm looking for an opponent for Junior. You got any ideas? Yeah, Sergio Martinez.
Well, the funny thing is this. First of all, we got to go back and we got to say, okay, regardless of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I mean, I agree with you. He's still developing and everything else. He has brought some excitement into the ring when he fights. Everybody wonders how heavy he's going to be, not fat, but how big he's going to be fight night and all that stuff. But he ends up manipulating and maneuvering, I should say, and obtains the WBC world middleweight title. Now, Sergio Martinez had it. For some reason, he was stripped of it and then elevated, which was the words used by the WBC, elevated into having their diamond-studded Super Mongoose title. And now he's got to wait for a shot at the title he used to have that he was stripped from to fight Julio Cesar Chavez. So that's basically followed a bouncing ball. Now, since that time, they were supposed to be the next in line, and Chavez has had, I'm pretty sure, 3 fights since then, all right? And now, and when you have a guy like Lou DiBella campaigning for his fighter, Sergio Martinez, to get this shot at Chavez Jr., and it's not because of the belts, it's because of the money. Now his other fighter gets a shot, and he's okay with it. That's my problem. I don't understand. It's not the matchup. It's the fact that he's okay waiting now, and I don't get it. I mean, is he looking for a double payday? Does he know that Andy Lee is going to lose to Chavez, and then at this point in time he's going to definitely get the Martinez fight? Do you think that's his thought process?
I think it's one of those backdoor type things. It sounds like, and I know what's going on. Your listeners know. They're educated people. They know the score in boxing, and it's another freaking joke. Well, you know what? And I'll tell you what, it goes on in the media too. Bargains and deals. Listen, I'm going to give some play to this lesser guy. And I'll tell you what, I'll raise my hand. I'm guilty of it. I'll give a play to maybe some. Keep coming along. I can't get access. Give me access to one of your top guys, and I'm going to give you a little play for one of your young kids coming up, from one of your lower guys. That's happened. So give Andy Lee a bone. Throw Andy Lee a bone. Do me a favor this time, and let's see if we can get Sergio Martinez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Now that's what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And you know something? You have that's actually good business by DiBella.
Oh,
I don't know about promoting, because the game of promoting boxing, I think, is that's a dying art, if not a dead art. It doesn't exist anymore. The major promoter in boxing is HBO. There's no HBO, there's no boxing. That's what it comes down to. If there's no, and partially Showtime. Showtime's in that. I put Showtime in that mix too, Bill. You cut out those 2 major cable networks, and granted, there's boxing still out there, and you may watch from time to time, but the sport would obviously we both know it's withering already, but it may be, for all intents and purposes, dead. Friday night, we know ESPN's not going to put out the money for any quality fights. So that's all. That's it's good business by DiBella. I tell you what, I give DiBella credit. He got his fighter. He got a fighter in the door, even though it was supposed to be Sergio Martinez, and that's a blockbuster fight. Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez. I would be interested in seeing that fight, if only, to see Chavez Jr. terribly exposed against someone like a Sergio Martinez.
I agree with you 100% about Lou being a smart businessman, and I said that earlier. Business sense, it's good. Risk versus reward, great. But promoter, the word promoter, you're supposed to promote, and I use Martinez as the poster child for this, because here's a guy that's arguably in a lot of people's pound for pound rated up in the top 3, and this is a guy that no one's ever heard of except the diehard boxing fans. Whose fault is that? It's not his in terms of his performances and his victories and his style and his dramatic knockouts. I mean, he gives us all of that. He's in great shape. He does a lot of good things outside the ring. I mean, he is the guy that should be the example of a world champion, not a guy like Floyd Mayweather who's showing us betting slips and acting like a gangster and doing all this other stuff. I mean, that's not the model that you want your youth entering the sport to follow. You would rather have a guy like Martinez as that model, but yet the lack of promotion has made him a non-factor in terms of being a household name.
In terms of crossover appeal, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you another name in that same boat. I agree with you. And I'm going to give you another name that's been under-promoted. Nonito Donaire.
Yeah, another great example. Now, he's next in line, though, because of who he's with. They're just waiting because they like to focus on one fighter at a time, it seems.
Yeah, but regrettably, though, for example, who did Chavez Jr. beat in his last fight?
Chavez Jr. fought, what's his name? He was Marco Antonio Rubio, right?
Okay.
Wasn't that the last fight? Wasn't that
yes.
Chavez's last fight?
And Donaire was on the undercard.
Right.
Donaire was the chief semifinal on that card. And I'm laughing because it's really pathetic.
But he didn't even look that good on that card.
Let's put them on a weighted scale. Nonito Donaire on one cup over here against Julio Cesar Chavez and his achievements on the other. And who terribly outweighs the other in terms of skill, in terms of ability, in terms of what he's accomplished. And it is crushing. It is crushing. Donaire just blows him away. As a matter of fact, if you put them on a scale, the scales of boxing justice, would weigh so heavily in Donaire's favor that bang, plop, I just put Donaire's accomplishments on one portion of the scale. It would completely throw Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and his weight through the roof. The difference is that pathetic. But the other side of it and the other twist is the fact that Chavez Jr. does have in Mexico, does have that crossover appeal. That's why. So you mentioned the alphabets. I don't even pay attention to those idiots. Because they're scam artists.
No,
that's all that is. That's a bunch of junk. It's a bunch of, you know what, and you have idiots that want to follow them, idiots in the media, idiots in the idiot fans that want to turn around. I just don't pay attention to those jackasses.
No,
that's all they are.
I agree with you. And Donaire,
Let's make up the rules as we go along, and if the rules don't fit, if our own rules don't fit, we'll make up some more rules.
Right,
that we could turn around and play by. That's all that is. It's a joke and it's pathetic, and it's a major scam.
No,
listen. New here. I got to make up the Diamond Mongoose. I like what you said. The Diamond Mongoose, 8 belt. So this way I can hit you with another sanctioning fee.
That's what it is.
What exactly do? They collect money so you could turn around and fight for their belt.
No, it's a joke.
And I'll never forget the conversation I had with a major professional athlete whose name we won't mention here. But he said to me, he goes, Joe, do they really got to pay these alphabet organizations for the right to fight for these belts? I said, yeah. He goes, I wouldn't fight. They have to pay me. I want to see the day a fighter turns around, a Mayweather, a Pacquiao, because it's going to take a guy like that to turn around and say, F you, I'm not paying you for these belts. You're paying me for the right to fight for your belt. You're paying me. I'm not paying you. You're paying me. So please, and maybe I'm starting something here.
Yeah, but Mayweather's already proved that.
You want me to turn around and fight for this belt? No. I'm not paying you. You pay me.
Mayweather's already proved that he doesn't need a belt, and you know I
in that category too.
Yeah, you know
and Hopkins. You know,
forget Hopkins. Don't put Hopkins in the
Sergio
same.
Martinez
No, you can't put.
And obviously, I'm still coming from a biased. I still have an association with Ring Magazine. You know, that belt still to me means more than all the other belts. But I will say this though, my stance has changed quite a bit in recent years in reference to, you know, if someone wants to win an alphabet belt and they're excited about it, and they want the right to call themselves world champions, go ahead. I give them that right.
Listen, you can't put. Hey Joe, you can't ever put the Mayweather and Pacquiao in the same class or even the same sentence as Bernard Hopkins. You just can't. Bernard Hopkins has no value anymore, and I think that he needs to fight for a belt, whereas Mayweather or Pacquiao.
I don't think. I don't think.
Why? Nobody goes to see his fights.
I know this for a fact.
No, nobody goes to watch his fights. Nobody buys his pay-per-views. Nobody. But Bernard Hopkins doesn't carry it anymore. He just doesn't. He was never an exciting fighter, even 20 years ago. But listen,
that doesn't really matter.
Listen, we only have like we got 3 minutes left. I got 3 minutes left. I got to ask you an important question. I got an important question, Joe. Joe, I got an important question. 3 minutes. This is big. Golden Gloves. Everybody in New York, we've always associated the Golden Gloves tournament with Madison Square Garden. It was announced this morning, actually late last night, that the Golden Gloves tournament is leaving Madison Square Garden, and it's going to be going to the new Barclays Center, which is going to be the building that's in Brooklyn now.
The place in Brooklyn? The new arena in Brooklyn?
Yep, it's in Brooklyn. It's where the Nets will be playing. As a matter of fact, the first boxing event will be taking place in October. Golden Boy Promotions has signed a monthly boxing series to be taking place at the Barclays Center. What's your thoughts with the Golden Gloves tournament that has been at Madison Square Garden for all these years, I mean decades, leaving and going to Brooklyn? What's your thoughts?
Oh, good for them. Good for them. Good. You know, I'm sure there's again, we're talking about business, we're talking about the real world, we're talking about reality and what goes on. And I don't know the full details, but from an outsider looking in, I'm going to assume, quite obviously, that if the Barclays Center, if the Barclays Center is willing to offer the Golden Gloves a bigger, better deal, and offer them a possibility, you know, to turn around and give these kids an opportunity for a cheaper price, and give them more accommodations. We're talking about someplace that's more modern. I understand it's going to be a state-of-the-art facility, and you know what? Good for them. You know, because it does take two to tango, Bill. And if Madison Square Garden didn't want to turn around and play ball with the Golden Boy, there you go, with the Golden Gloves organization, to not hold what's been a staple, what's been a trademark event in New York, then shame on them. Then I think some of the the onus belongs on, again, big business and Madison Square Garden. You know, why is there a reason why this is not happening?
Is it a reason why what's not happening?
That Madison Square Garden's not renewing the contract?
I think it's probably exactly what you said. You know, they want to move. They have a new modern facility. I think that it's also smaller. You know, Madison Square Garden sometimes, if it's not set up right, you can get lost in the shuffle in there. You know, and I don't know. I really don't know all the reasonings why, but it has to be that they got a better deal. You know, but I think it's huge because, you know, the Daily News and the Golden Gloves, New York City Golden Gloves, is such a huge event, and it has been. It's really when you think of Golden Gloves, I mean, not just because I'm from New York, but most boxing people. I mean, if you win a title in the New York State Golden Gloves, you're a pretty damn good fighter. I mean, you can't compare a Golden Gloves champion out of New York City compared to somebody out of Missouri or something. I mean, you just can't. You just can't. But anyway, hey Joe, listen, we got to run. And I appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to you next week, my man.
Real quick here. How about
what, Columbo?
About the I think it's the Puerto Rican Boxing Commission coming down with a
I hate it.
A fine suspension.
I hate it. I can't. I can't stand it.
Lopez.
Can't stand it. I think they've dragged this kid through the mire too much. I'm not saying he shouldn't have had some repercussions, but I think that Ramirez is, this kid apologized in public not once, not twice, but 3 times. He's went on TV. He's done all the things. Ramirez is refusing to accept it. I think the Puerto Rican Boxing Commission came down on him too hard, and I think the WBO came down on him too hard, all because of Jim Gray, the scourge of the earth, puts him on the spot when we clearly know.
Hang on.
Clearly knew he was hurt.
You made the valid point. I did a column on this. You made the valid point that he was concussed at the time.
Right.
And I'll say this. I don't think fighters in general, concussed fighters in general, should be interviewed at all.
I agree.
After fights.
I agree.
But I'll say this. I'll say this in defense of Gray. And I agree with you 99.9% in reference to Gray in terms of a lot of things. He is a gotcha journalist. He is a guy that turns around and likes to sneak up in the weeds and turn around and spring on you. But in this case, remember that. He gave Lopez the benefit of the doubt and asked him again, you sure you want to say that? He did that. In fairness to Gray, he did that. He gave him an opportunity to turn around and retrace his steps.
Well, I agree with you. I think that no fighter should be interviewed because their brain is still scrambled. I'm very critical of Jim Gray because a listener pointed out.
There's no doubt he's an ambush guy.
No. But he pointed out that he censors. Like, in other words, he made the decision to pull the mic away from Chris Arreola when Chris started dropping F-bombs. He didn't like to hear that, so he pulls the mic away. And instead, he kept pushing the issue with Juanma, who clearly, come on, you've been in this business long enough. When you stand toe-to-toe, when you're looking at a fighter in his eyes after he's been knocked out, you can see that the pupils are messed up. I mean, you can tell that he's not there. Jim should have done the right thing. And I will admit, I'm critical of Jim Gray because I still will never forgive him for what he did to Pete Rose. I'm sorry. I just never will. And he's always come out as being that guy. But I agree with your article, and I think 100% that fighters that have been knocked out or even taken a beating towards the end of a fight should not be interviewed for that reason because they're not 100% yet, and it's not fair to put them on in front of the cameras. I think.
And it's not fair, but in this case, in terms of Gray, Gray did give Juanma the benefit of the doubt and did give Juanma a chance to turn around and correct what he said. And I'll give Gray, and you have to give him credit because he was there. It was blatant. He gave him credit. So, you sure you want to say that? He gave him that opportunity. Now, in most cases, he's ambushed Jim. He's ambushed Jim. He's, like I said, again, he is that guy in the weeds that there is no, again, 99.9% on who Jim Gray is, what he's about. He's as much a scam artist as anybody else. That's who's kidding who here. But in reference to what he did and how he handled Juanma, and he does have a job to do, too. I mean, it's not only on Jim Gray, but it's also part of Showtime. Because remember, Bill, Showtime's the one that puts Jim Gray in the ring. HBO is the one that puts Larry Merchant and Max Kellerman in the ring. That's what the responsibilities are after the fight.
No, you're right.
And he did give Juanma, Bill, did he not give Juanma an opportunity to turn around and retrace his steps?
No, he did, but on the other hand, like you said originally, the guy wasn't 100%, and it's unfortunate it unfolded. But, Joe, hey, let's pick up and talk more about your article next week. I got to go. We're ready to pack it in here, but let's talk more about that, and especially about a rule. We should definitely have that rule that networks, not only Showtime, anyone shouldn't interview a fighter after a knockout.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I put it on the Talking Boxing with Billy C. Facebook page.
Great. Sounds good, brother. Talk to you next week, my man.
Okay, Bill.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care. That's the infamous Joe Santoliquito giving us his thoughts. And he did write an article about that, and I think that we should adopt that rule. I really do. Hey, one thing I want to mention real quick. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about Hector Camacho, not junior, senior, and his latest run-in with the law, this time child abuse. That's right, child abuse for one of his youngest son, who's actually ready to turn pro. It seems like it could be a big mix-up, but you never know, and we'll talk about all of that tomorrow.
Wake up. It's time for
It's too early for a trivia question.
Now, today's trivia question is being brought to us by Star Boxing. They got a great event coming up on May 18th between Raymond Serrano and Kareem Mayfield. So as soon as the fight poster is up on Billy C. Boxing, you'll be able to get tickets for that one. And on the line for you, if you get this trivia question right, is the book The Holyfield Way, courtesy of PrizeFightingBooks.com. And this is actually my favorite Holyfield book, and it's yours if you can get this one right. Now, this question is driving a lot of you guys nuts. We've had many incorrect answers. And I got to tell you all, and I know you guys know this, there's people that answer these questions. I love when you get it wrong. You know, can't you tell when I say, great answer, but no. Great one, but no. Who fought the most fights between 1920 and 1929? Who fought the most fights between 1920 and 1929? If you know the answer, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Who fought the most fights between 1920 and 1929? The Evander Holyfield Way is on the line for that one. Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This Day in Boxing History.
And finally, This Day in Boxing History is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, you need to use the ones that keep me out of trouble, and that's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C. sent you and that I'll pick up the consultation fee. 845-221-4099. On this day, April 4th in 1990, Juan Nassaro knocks out Edwin Rosario in the 8th round to win the WBA World Lightweight title, and that fight took place in New York City on this day, April 4th, 1990. One of the most shocking losses for me. I thought Edwin Rosario at that point was almost unbeatable. But anyway, that concludes our show for today. One thing you got to remember. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. The Fight Now channel, of course. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. For all the information about Fight Now, you can find it at their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.